Okay, you guys, Erin here back with another moon update for you. We are having some very intense energies about to come in. We are entering into eclipse season. This Friday, November 19th at 12:57 a.m. Pacific time, we will be having a full moon lunar eclipse. Okay, now that's kind of opening up the gates for the total solar eclipse we will be having on December 3rd or 4th, depending on where you are at in the world. But this is very intense energy. Eclipse energy is the dragon energy. Okay. So any full moon that we have is already intense. The moon rules our moods and our emotions and our intuition. So when she's in her fullest form, of course, those things are intensified. With the eclipse, it's really amped up. Okay, so this full moon, hallelujah, takes place in the sign of Taurus, which the moon works very well in the sign of Taurus. This is where she's exalted. Okay, this is because that sign of Taurus, it's the fixed earth sign. Fixed meaning that it's very persistent and consistent, and mixed in with that earth element, it really brings a strong sense of stability and practicality, calmness, groundness, being able to keep in touch with earth. Okay, so that's wonderful. Now this is at 27 degrees Taurus. It's in the third decan, so it's a little bit of Capricornian energy mixed in here, which actually can stabilize it even more, bring some structure to things. But there's so much more to this full moon, and I will break down all of that. That sign of Taurus is ruled by Venus. That Venus energy can come through and really associate this with money, possessions, and values. This is a really good time to check in with our value system. This is the peak of the growth cycle for that Taurus energy for the year of 2021. So how have you grown in these Taurus ways? Have you maybe it's a good time to check in with your value system. What is it that you value? And I am completely on board with the fact that we are living in some very strange times. The value systems are all over the place, especially concerning the monetary system. I have a very strong opinion that whoever is in charge of the world's banking system is very corrupt, and I understand that. But on a personal level, what is it that you value? Have you grown in any ways that have to do with your value system? Have you experienced abundance? This sign of Taurus has this natural ability of knowing that we are spiritual beings having a very physical experience. And with that physical experience, we can live a little more comfortably with the wealth and prosperity. But that Taurus energy understands the value of working hard for it. So how have you grown in those ways? All right, now let me get into all the other details of this full moon lunar eclipse. Okay, so for starters, I work with geocentric Western astrology. That said, we put Earth right here in the middle. These guys right here, these are all the celestial bodies where they will be around us on November 19th at 12:57 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, so first we're going to focus right here. This right here is the moon. And for any full moon, the sun and the moon have to be at opposite sides of the zodiac. Okay, so here's the moon at 27 degrees Taurus. Here's the sun at 27 degrees Scorpio. Scorpio and Taurus are opposite each other. For any lunar eclipse, we have to be having a full moon. And what the eclipse is a result of is this right here is the north node. This right here is the south node. Okay, they have to be right next to the sun and moon for the lunar eclipse to occur. Okay, so the north node, also known as Rahu, also known as the dragon's head, this is where the celestial energy comes in. It's going through the sign of Gemini. It's at 1 degrees Gemini. I've talked about this. We've been receiving a lot of Gemini energy with the north node transiting through there, but now at 1 degree, it's very, very strong. Now that sign of Gemini is the mutable air sign, very different than that sign of Taurus, but they're right next to each other. So these energies are going to blend in together. That Gemini energy, it's like the sign of communication, also has a lot to do with being the student and paying attention to facts. Okay, so we've been receiving a ton of that energy, and we still are. We are up until January of next year, till that north node retrogrades into the sign of Taurus, just on a side note here, the nodes, the north and south node, are almost always in retrograde. They basically go backwards through the zodiac. Okay. So that is retrograding into the sign of Taurus next year. But for right now, it's still in Gemini and it's blending with this full moon in Taurus. The sign of Taurus actually rules the throat, and Gemini rules communication. So we've got this blend of energies here that have to do with communication. In fact, that sign of Taurus, just as another side note, people who have a lot of like really beautiful Taurus energy in their natal chart can have really lovely singing voices. And that might be something that you can apply to this full moon, maybe some singing ceremonies or something like that. Now, another thing is that here's that sun at 27 degrees Scorpio. The sun is getting into the anaretic degrees of Scorpio. I've talked about the anaretic degrees. It's basically a little bit of a danger zone, okay? And that sign of Scorpio is very, very fierce because it feels things so deeply. It's represented by the scorpion that can sting, have like a lethal pinch because of the intensity that comes with it. And the sun right here conjunct the south node. Okay, again, this is where this energies go out. This is the dragon's tail, the south node, going to the sign of Gemini. I'm sorry, the sign of Sagittarius. Now, the sign of Sagittarius is the sign of faith. So this is, we've basically been losing faith through that south node going to the sign of Sagittarius. And now it's conjunct the intensity of that 27 degrees Scorpio sun for this eclipse. Now, also, this right here is Mercury, fairly conjunct or fairly close to the sun, also in the sign of Scorpio. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury rules that sign of Gemini. So there's, a kind of a double doser here that has to do with our communication skills. And now it's intensified even more with that sign of Scorpio. It's a really good idea to be very consciously aware of what it is we are communicating. There can be like our emotions can be kind of really like hot, stinging hot, especially since we've got Mars right here in Scorpio as well. It's just, we want to stay calm. We want to tap into that Taurus energy and stay practical, stay calm, stay grounded. That's a really key aspect to this full moon lunar eclipse as I am seeing it. Okay. So now this Mars in Scorpio, Mars works really well in the sign of Scorpio, but Mars rules our physical drive. And the sign of Scorpio, it's like, it's ready to go. It's sizzling hot. Now, this Mars in Scorpio is making this very strong opposition over here to Uranus and Taurus. Now, Uranus and Taurus, I've been talking about this in all my videos all year long because this Uranus and Taurus energy is really rattling things up. Uranus brings abrupt, revolutionary, and technological changes. Again, that sign of Taurus is the Earth sign. The Earth is getting rattled with this, especially while it's in retrograde. Again, that sign of Taurus has to do with money, possessions, and values. So here's that Uranus energy rattling up that energy that has to do with our value system and our financial system. Cryptocurrency, I keep mentioning that's a big one. And crypto's not doing so well right now because of this very strong opposition to Mars and because it's making this really tough square over to Saturn. Uranus is not working comfortably at all right now. And in fact, this is kind of creating pressure. I mean, honestly, this is even like earthquake type energy. I'm not necessarily predicting an earthquake, but it's just a lot of pressure between Uranus and Mars. So there's just adding more to the intensity of everything we're experiencing. Now, okay, there's so much I could say. Let's just briefly talk about Pluto again. I've been talking about Pluto is, we're about to have a Pluto return for the United States. Okay, now the natal chart that I use for the United States would be when the Declaration of Independence was signed. I know there is plenty other charts that you can use for the United States, but that one really resonates with me, especially when I look at the 9/11 stuff and on that natal chart. No matter what you think would 9/11, whatever it is that you think happened that day, how it rattled the United States makes a lot of sense. Pluto was going right over into the ascendant of the United States using that chart. Now, what I'm talking about with this Pluto return is a lot of people have heard of a Saturn return. Saturn returns can be really tough, Pluto returns, we don't experience Pluto returns as humans because Pluto takes too long to go around the zodiac. I think it's like 248 years or something to go around the zodiac. But the United States is, and using that chart, this Pluto energy comes through the house of money, possessions, and values for the United States. So I do feel like there's something's about to give. I mean, things are really wild right now. Gas prices are just absurd. The price of living in California is absolutely just beyond. Something's got to give. And I think it will over these very strongly, potentially over these next few years, but even sooner than that with the way things are looking with Pluto's energy right here. But it's also what's going to happen here next month is Venus is also in the sign of Capricorn, creeping up, getting close to Pluto. Now, this could be very interesting for relationship energy. Stay grounded with your relationships as well. Stay grounded with everything because there's a lot of things just being kind of shaken up right now. A lot of rattling going on in the heavens. Okay, so I will leave that there for now. Now, as you guys know, I like to talk about gemstones that resonate well with the sign that the moon is transiting through. Okay, so the dedicated zodiacal birthstone for that sign of Taurus is an emerald. And that is one stone that I have not manifested into my life yet. Maybe this full moon will bring bring an emerald in my way. But there's so many other stones that resonate well with each and every one of the zodiac signs. So I'm going to name a few. I will also leave a very extensive list, like 30 stones as usual, that resonate well with that sign of Taurus. Just look in the comment section or the description of wherever you're seeing this recording. You'll find an extensive list there of stones that resonate well with that Taurus energy. But I also need to mention that some stones, it's like not all stones are going to be good for everybody. If you'd like to find out specific stones that would resonate specifically well for you, then please do schedule an astrology reading because I do have some expertise in that. But for this full moon, I'm going to name some stones that are kind of ones that are good for everybody. These are like all reliable. For starters, this is rose quartz. Rose quartz resonates very, very well with that sign of Taurus, and it's very calming. It's a healing stone. Rose quartz is pretty much good for anybody. So that's a good one to keep around. It's also very common and also very affordable. Let's see. Another one I'll mention, going back to those money, possessions, and values. This right here is citrine, which is really good for bringing in the money. This is really good for manifesting material possessions into your life. And it also resonates very, very well with that sign of Taurus. And it also resonates well with the sign of Gemini too. So it's a really, if you've got any, this is a big chunk right here, but just a little tiny piece, it would be good to keep around for this full moon because it will blend in with that North Node conjunct the full moon, the Gemini and the Taurus energy. Another one I'm going to mention is Carnelian. This is another one that's pretty popular. This is one that, again, resonates specifically well with that Taurus energy, but it's also really good for right now, that Scorpio energy that we're receiving. Scorpio rules the regenerative forces, the genitalia, okay? And this can also have a lot to do with sexual trauma. Of course, not for everybody, not insinuating that everybody's got sexual trauma, but a lot of people do. And this is a really good time to work with that energy. And carnelian is an excellent stone for that. And again, it also is very much good for just that Taurus energy. It's also calming and grounding. Okay, so I won't ramble on anymore about stones. You can just check out the list for yourself. Also, keep in mind that Taurus rules the throat. Anytime the moon transits through the sign of Taurus, it's a good idea to pay a little extra attention to our throat, but especially when it's a full moon, and even more so when it's a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. How's your throat doing? Is it a little dry? This is going to depend on your own natal chart, physiologically, what's going on with your throat, but just keeping yourself in alignment with those energies that we're receiving from the heavens is a really good idea. Okay, now one more very important thing to mention here. With eclipse energy, again, it is dragon energy. The north node is the dragon's head. The south node is the dragon's tail. They're whipping around right now, and it can be dangerous. It can be intense. It depends on what's going on in your own natal chart. This can involve loss, or it can involve growth. So it is a really good time to start to get to know your natal chart. Look to see where 27 degrees Taurus is in your natal chart. But I personally do not recommend exposing ourselves to that eclipse energy. And I'm specifically referring to, I would not generally for my moon ceremonies, my new moon and full moon ceremonies, I take my shoes off, I go sit outside with my journal, I write down what it is I'm manifesting or what it is I'm embracing, and I have those magic stones with me to amplify my prayers and keep me grounded and that sort of thing. But with an eclipse, I would stay indoors because this energy is very intense and it can bring some dangerous energies in. So again, just not to say you need to go hide in a cave, even though a lot of the ancients would do that for eclipse energy, but I would just stay indoors for your moon ceremony for this one, okay? And then also on that, I will make another video about that, but the total solar eclipse coming up December 3rd and 4th, that's another time that I would just try to avoid exposing yourself, especially in the evening times. Okay, so I will leave it at that. If you would like to schedule an astrology reading, please do go to my website first because you can see all the different options for readings that I offer, anything from a 10-minute moon reading to see which area of your life this stuff is coming through in, or all the way up to a 90-minute reading. So I can give you a full natal chart analysis and we can go through all your transits and everything that you're experiencing right now. I've also got a video up there so you can see how I like to give my readings, and you can schedule straight through my website. Or if you've got specific questions, then please do email me at erinwageastrology@gmail.com. And my website is erinwageastrology.com. I will leave links to those so it's easy for you guys to find me. You can also, I will also leave a list of other platforms that I'm on if you want to try and contact me there. I don't check my Facebook messages, and it's very rare that I check my Instagram messages. So the best way to reach me is definitely through my email address. Okay, you guys. Until next time, namaste to all of you.